Hey everyone, welcome to tonight's late night happy hour with the Kamenetzky Brothers. I'm Brian Kamenetzky with Andy Kamenetzky as I try to frame myself. There we go. Nice. Joined tonight by John Gonzalez from The Ringer. Looking good. You got a nice plant in the background. Like, this is clearly not your first chat. Congratulations for setting that up. How are you?
I'm wonderful. It's wonderful to see you guys. I've been enjoying all of these happy hours from a distance. This has nothing to do with me. I basically live in an atrium at my wife's discretion. She booby traps the house with all these different plants, and I don't even really see them except for when I'm on camera. So here we go.
How many are
This
there?
one's name is Kristen, by the way.
Would they all have names?
She names a lot of them. This one is Kristen because it's a big, tall. I think it's I'm going to screw this up. Maybe a fiddle leaf fig? No, that might be wrong. It might be just a palm. Anyway,
we won't know, so it's fine. And
I don't know either.
I'm fairly certain our audience doesn't either.
Honestly,
So.
you could call it an oak tree. It's fine. We won't know the difference.
The plant-related content that your viewers crave. But it's tall and gangly like our friend Kristen, so we named it Kristen.
Is Kristen aware of this?
Yes.
Does she approve?
I don't know that she disapproves, but probably she would prefer it not be named Kristen for that reason. But it's what's done is done. The die has been cast.
I mean, how does she feel about everybody learning that this plant that's gangly was named after her? Because before, at least, it was an in-joke. Now it's a public joke.
We bring it to the world. It's really more about the tall component than the gangly component, but we say the last one with love.
I mean, as long as we've gone this far.
Do you by chance have any plants in the house that are not named? And if so, could we see if over the course of a show we could name a plant after a listener or a viewer for tonight's show?
Oh, please. Yeah.
Look, if this thing goes really well, I'm not above a Kamenetzky plant.
Oh, that's true.
There should be an Andy and Brian plant.
And we can find one that's particularly
No, I'm not sharing a plant with him. I've already been sharing this show. I've been sharing the Twitter. I'm getting my own damn plant. I'm not sharing. We don't share everything.
I say that I would give you guys each individual plants because there's a spider plant hanging up here and then a plant below it, so we could give each of you a plant. But I had a question about the Twitter thing. Why share the account? What's happening there? I have always wanted to ask you guys, and as many times as I've seen you at games, I've never done it.
It was one of these things that at the time it seemed like Twitter was new. We weren't sure, and it's sort of like we're branded as like brothers, which we are, by the way. We actually are brothers. It's not like a gimmick. And all that stuff. And so we just sort of started doing it. And then it got to be one of those things where at a certain point, you either have to start over with each of us having our own thing, or like one person gets like all the followers and somebody else has to start from scratch.
Well, Brian, you briefly were screwing around with your own Twitter account.
It was an on-air gimmick. It was an on-air gimmick.
Right.
I did it for I wanted to see how many people we could get during the course of a show while I was on air, and that was basically it. That was the end of that. So I mean, there's no other explanation other than that.
Do it for the content. I like it.
Yeah, basically, and it made sense at the time, and now it's just like who cares? I'm too old.
And now
to change
you're
these
stuck in
things.
a prison of your own making. Congratulations.
Yeah, now all I really wish is that I could find a career that would allow me to get off Twitter and just disengage from the whole platform altogether. Because, man, is that place a cesspool now.
It's a total cesspool. I think about this all the time. I was talking to Colleen about this yesterday, about how desperately I want to get off Twitter for any number of reasons, specifically because of just like the unending arc of bad news. I mean, it's brutal.
Well, the news doesn't go away if you get off Twitter. Just so you're in
But,
the bad news will
stay.
stays.
You don't see it.
If I'm on, it's very similar in some ways. If you stop testing, COVID goes away. But it's not dissimilar to that. The news remains even if you get off social media. We have a few things planned for you tonight. Now, you should know that it's Andy has a game. We like to, of course you've seen the show. Of course you've seen the show.
Who hasn't?
I mean, geez, of course you have. But we do a lot of things on the show, and I have recently learned how to use some of our show features. For example, putting pictures up. If we wanted to see Michael Thompson, We know how to do that. Or Byron Scott.
Get comfortable.
Oops,
Let me introduce
wait.
you to what Michael Thompson has told it.
I'm going to take that off.
That's some good video.
Yeah, it was Michael, but we would have had to sit there and listen to the whole thing. Like, there's Byron Scott. So if we want to do things, we can. So you're a Philly guy.
I am.
And people, and you know that. So one of the things I thought we would do over the course of the show is every once in a while, I'm just going to throw up a random picture of a person from Philly. And you just have to shout out who it is.
It's Kevin Hart, of course.
Very good. So you would get a point there.
Okay, that's good. This makes me nervous. I'm glad that we're doing this in L.A. Because maybe my Philly peeps, if I get one wrong, the Philly Twitter is an angry lot. You guys probably know this. And,
that's weird. I wouldn't.
Honestly, I can't tell the difference. I mean, like, is there something especially particular about the anger from Philly? Because I got to tell you, the anger from LA, it can be palpable.
Fair enough. All right. Well, then I'll see how I can equip myself.
And then we've got a game at the end, a quiz between you and Brian that I came up with that also will incorporate Philadelphia. We like to create these games around the guests.
I love games. I'm on board with this. I feel like I'm going to fail miserably, but we'll try. That's always
see what happens.
I don't think so. We've both lost in games that the other one has created for each other. So this is not like a rigged thing. Like, we don't do this just to prop up each other. We've both lost before. Occasionally, we've lost miserably.
Is it a sibling rivalry thing where you try to fell the brother?
I mean, I'm not going to lie. I think we both. Richard Gere. I think we both.
Gotta be on your toes.
I get it.
Gotta be on your toes.
All right, I understand.
If it makes you feel better, I didn't realize we were getting scored either.
Right,
I think we both take a little bit of pleasure when the other one fails miserably in a game on this audience. Brian, am I speaking for you?
I think you could have stopped after the other one fails miserably. Why are we limiting ourselves just to what happens during the game? I think that's just how it is. So Andy is up 1-0.
Wait, I got Kevin Hart. That doesn't count.
That's true.
That was an example. That was just a test to
Kevin
show
Hart
everyone how the game is played.
I don't want any charity.
No, and some of them are quite easy, and some of them are hard. And some of them I gotta be honest, I did kind of tilt towards Andy because I figured since you're Philly, you know who everyone is from, who's from there. I just assume. And so
that's how it works.
I didn't. Some of them are kind of up Andy's wheelhouse, so apologies in advance. Should we do like sports stuff? Pandemic?
Sure.
I'm at your disposal. You tell me what you want to talk about.
Well, Adam Silver today admitted he acknowledged a little bit of concern about the potential for the bubble being broached down the stretch. That he's expected some of the positive tests that we've seen so far outside the bubble, but he really acknowledged that inside the bubble, if they're seeing tests at this rate, new positives, that would reflect potentially the bubble offering more exposure than they planned.
It may not be a very good bubble. It's not the dome that like shields Wakanda from everyone being able to see it.
Yeah, it is not Biodome starring Pauly Shore and Stephen Baldwin, like a true biodome. How concerned are you just about the viability of this? Because I do understand the logic of it, and I do think that there is the rationale that if you get everyone inside and keep it even reasonably tight, it's still going to cut down, I think, on the exposure that people have for everyday life. But then I just keep thinking about these Disney employees that apparently are never going to be tested. And it's a little worrisome, John.
Yeah, when you reasonably tight is doing a lot of heavy lifting in that proposition, right? I mean, it isn't a dome. It's more like a colander or a sieve. I mean, I wonder about these employees who come in and out. You've got Adam Silver, who said he's going to be coming in and out. You've got ostensibly potentially some owners who would be coming in and out. I think once you have that level of lack of containment, you're setting yourself up for a situation where, one test could beget several. And that's what Silver was getting at today, that, it is something that could be burst. And they're now moving to, rather than calling it a bubble, I really like the messaging around this, where they're calling it a campus, because they realize calling it a bubble is so absurd, right? I mean, it is in a protective environment. And I don't know how they can say with a straight face that somehow porting all these people into Orlando, where today there were reports from CNN saying that Florida has this massive, not just an outbreak, but a problem with a lack of available hospital beds. And I don't understand how they could possibly say with a straight face, they're going to port all these people into Florida and it's going to be fine, even though you're going to have all these people coming in and out. What happens? Not only if you have an outbreak, but if somebody needs to go to a hospital and there's a lack of ICU beds, are you taking away hospital beds to put up NBA players who didn't really need to start the season?
Yeah, I heard Howard Beck on his podcast, The Full 48. They were talking with a couple epidemiologists last week, and one of them mentioned that prospect of the hospitals potentially being overrun, and at a time where if a player or a coach or someone like that requires hospitalization, what happens? I hadn't specifically thought about that before, like that one scenario.
I hadn't thought about that at all.
In terms of actually depriving citizens. But yeah, I mean, that is a potential issue because, I mean, as much as to some degree, I think you have to accept that everybody isn't going to like your optics, because if you were truly that concerned about perfect optics, you wouldn't do this in the first place. Right. But there are bad optics involved with NBA player gets priority in the hospital.
I just assumed that, well, it depends which NBA player, I think. I mean, some of them. There's some guys that I just think are worth preserving. And then others,
none on the Magic.
Right. What's your per?
Right. I don't want to be overly earnest about this either. I think there are other things about the bubble or the campus that are less concerning, less ugly optically, and just flat amusing. Months ago when they were still trying to figure out can we restart, what would it look like, and how would we get everybody there? I talked to an longtime NBA executive who said, listen, I think you could do it for a couple of weeks. And I said, well, wouldn't it take longer? And he goes, yeah, but after a couple of weeks you're going to have guys wanting to break out because you've got the wives and girlfriends issue, right? Guys are going to want to go and have some romantic time with their lady friends. And, if they're not already there, maybe they're going to, Joel Embiid was saying today, I don't trust these guys to just stay in their rooms. And I think Joel Embiid would know, because Joel Embiid has been a principal offender on road trips previously.
Well, look, I mean, Andy and I make the joke all the time that the security force that they have out there, the private security and the Orlando PD and all these things, they're designed to keep the public out and Kyle Kuzma in. Those are their jobs.
There's going to be a lot of NBA players who, when their family arrives, it's going to be a lot of sisters, and they all just like to share a room. Yeah. This is how it operates in their family. And look, don't judge them. Everybody has a different background. Everybody's family operates in a different way. But Kuz is a concern.
I seriously wonder though. With any professional athlete, with any professional sports league, you're going to have guys who like to go out and find a little company or blow off some steam. I'm using as delicate a euphemism as I can.
You can just say it, John. They're looking to have sex.
We are a Disney-owned company, but we can use the S word. That one, at least.
Yes, and thank you to Disney for hosting this bubble campus.
this sexless bubble.
Look, they don't call it the happiest place on earth for nothing.
But not that happy.
Right.
Not that happy.
I don't know how it's going to go. I've been pretty confident that it will start. I am increasingly less confident that it will finish.
This was one of my big...
Joey McIntyre.
No, wrong.
Ah, shit. Sorry. My bad.
Okay, you lose a point for that.
Dock me a point for that.
The only person
you got half of it right.
Joey Lawrence.
Correct.
Yes.
Oh,
you get your point back.
I kept thinking it's Ricky Martin.
It is
not Ricky Martin. It's not Ricky Martin, but it kind of looks like Ricky Martin.
See how that's going to work? That's fun. We could do that. We could do that over the course of an hour. That's fun.
I love this.
Yeah.
I was very concerned. When I heard Adam Silver talk about how he would be coming in and out of the bubble, because again, like you were saying before, John, reasonably tight is not tight for a bubble. You need the bubble to be, pretty much sealed if you want this thing to feel like a bubble. But the thing that really concerned me was when Adam Silver described the way he'd do this as coming in and out of a back door. And I'm like, why are you telling people about this? Like, this is now.
There shouldn't be a back door. There is no back door.
There shouldn't be a back door, but you really shouldn't be talking about the back door. Because, there's going to be players who are, in some downtime, they're going to be looking for that door.
But if you have access to it, who else has access to it? And beyond that, just to go back to the optics thing, so you've decided that you're going to start up this campus or bubble, and that the players and the coaches and certain support staff can't leave. They're supposed to be there. But other people, they can come in and out. There's a back door. It should be okay. And you've got owners who stand to benefit from this financially that aren't going to put themselves at nearly the same risk as they're asking their players to assume. And I think that in terms of optics, that's some of the worst optics that billionaire owners are asking. Yes, and I know that the conversation between billionaires and millionaires is sometimes a difficult one to have for fans, but you've got billionaire owners who are doing this from a distance and say, no, you go and we'll split the money.
Oh, yeah. I was like, I can tell you right now, all the players on the lottery teams, I guarantee they're voting yes for this.
Well, that's why they this thing with we're literally running out of nets to come play.
You guys are going to be on the nets. Do you want to be on the nets?
I think so. I think if you can figure out that actually should be another thing the NBA does. If you're a fan and you can figure out how to get in, they just put you on the nets. Because KD and Kyrie were already not going to play, and Spencer Dinwiddie tested positive again today. So he's still got it. He's not going to go. Taurean Prince tested positive. He's not going to go. DeAndre Jordan already said he's not going to go. Now, they are only a game up on Orlando, right? So, technically, they could fall to the 8th seed and just get swept by the Bucks, which is probably what would have happened more or less anyway.
There's no, unfortunately, I guess fortunately for them, there's no concern about getting taken out by the Ghost Wizards, because they're not going to have anyone on their team either.
Similarly, and I know this is something that Zach Lowe has continually hammered home, but I'm 100% in agreement with him. Why are the Wizards going? Why? I realize that they're not mathematically eliminated, and in theory, in 8 games, they could somehow make up 4.5. But this is absurd. The math on this is not good, and you're putting these other kids at risk for reasons that are specious.
I don't get it at all.
It's Wagner time.
Well, especially too. Look, I love me some Isak Bonga as much as the next guy, but the only reason you would ever, I think, yeah, that is probably true. That is. Did you know, by the way, John? We've asked people about this who are in local media. Did you know last year that his name was pronounced Isak and not Isaac?
No.
Okay, at the beginning of this year, the Wizards were in town. I don't remember if it was a preseason game or if it was a regular season game, but it was early on. This was discovered by all of us. I went around asking Lakers media people, did you guys know his name was Isak? None of them did. This was kept from all of us his rookie year. The kid was too polite to tell anybody it's Isak, not Isaac.
I feel like this comes up frequently with athletes where we just butcher their names, and they're just especially athletes who are not necessarily Americans, who have somewhat difficult names to pronounce for Americans, and they just let it go. Dario Saric, who I guess I still pronounce his name incorrectly. It's supposed to be Saric, or there's a more of an H in the front part of it.
Dario Saric.
Yeah, you gotta sort of slur through that, and
really
I don't know. He didn't mention it for years. Yeah. He didn't mention anything that everybody was butchering his name.
And he's not like a scrub.
Saric, I think.
You reach a certain Ishak Bonga, you're just I'm just happy to be here. Saric has been around for a while. We should say his name properly.
Mark Zumoff for the Sixers, who is fantastic play-by-play guy, longtime play-by-play guy for them. He says it correctly, and I think he's the only one in Philadelphia.
Look at all of us. How long has Rajon Rondo been in the NBA?
Sure.
And
I'm not sure.
No. He's informed us.
I just call him Rondo.
Yeah.
But for like some reason, we can't collectively decide how to say his first name like he tells us to. Yep. Like this should not be this big mystery. The guy is he's got a ring. Like he's been an all-star. Like he's not.
But what is it? Like to me, it's like I get
player.
nervous. I just get nervous. I just get nervous. It's like GIF or GIF. Like I just get nervous, and so I just don't say it at all.
Okay, can we stop for that one for a second, because it's GIF.
Yes, it is GIF.
I realize there's a debate on this, but the creators of the GIF call it a GIF, right? Because they created the technology. However, they did not create the English language, and the G is graphic, which has a G sound, hence GIF. You don't get like license over the G sound, the sound that a G makes. So therefore, it is GIF. But thank you all for
that is not at all pedantic. So I'm really glad
I've thought a lot about
that you put that in there. I mean, you must be really fun to road trip with.
During one of his 2 terms, Obama settled it. He said it was GIF. He told us it's pronounced GIF. That came straight from the president.
Yeah, I'll side with the president on that. The last president, Kevin Bacon.
Oh,
nice! It's 1-1. Well done.
Tough with the sunglasses. No, it's 2-1. He got the point for Joey Lawrence.
No, but he lost for cursing.
Yes, I did. Yeah,
he was actually. Remember, he was at -1.
All right,
and then he got his point back.
That's
he got
my
him back to
even.
It's okay. It's okay. I just want to make it clear that I'm not trying to cheat this thing out. You know, I've got honor.
What happens exactly with the cursing? Does the FCC raid your home later?
We pretend it didn't happen and hope that people who work at our office don't watch all the way through. That's essentially the plan.
Yeah, we don't know how to edit it.
It's about it's very similar to what I'm starting to understand is Major League Baseball's COVID-19 plan, which is sort of we'll just sort of hope for the best. That's sort of where it goes. I mean, it's not we're not subject to, I think, FCC fines or stuff like that. I think it's just a matter of like the bosses going. All those, you know, what the bosses do like is when we remind people. John, are you a drinker?
There's no judgment. There's no judgment.
Are you encouraging me to right now?
Yes,
well, you can
in this particular case.
But just letting you know that if you are, you can go to vsliquor.com, type in sports when you check out, get you 15% off your first order. Things are tough out there. Not all of us have a house full of plants that are named after people and things like that. And for people who don't, you go to vsliquor.com, have something delivered to your door. Don't go out and buy your liquor. Just let somebody bring it to you.
Stay home, have the booze delivered. I want to, as a quick aside, an addendum to what just happened there.
It's very important we stay focused.
For the people watching, that was a professional hosting job. You just slipped it right in there, and as somebody who eventually ostensibly will host a podcast again, I appreciate the tradecraft, my friend.
Oh, this is what we do. Yeah. I will say this. I think our viewers enjoy the VS Liquor reads and the way we look to seg them in as possible. Are any of your plants named after media people?
No, but I'm sure there might be some overlaps. I mean, I'm sure that there's like a Gary out there in the media.
Well, just because
like specifically, like this one's named for your friend Christine or Katie or something like that, the tall, gangly
Pretty
lady.
Close, Kristen. But we're going to have an Andy and Brian later.
Okay, cool. That's awesome. Then we're the first members of the media. I mean, you're both in media, so I thought perhaps just mutual friends at one point. Somebody in media would have had a plant named after him, but it'd be awesome to be the first. It'd be very.
It would be excellent. I'm excited about it.
It would be very cool. Did you see history? Did you see the Troy Daniels photo?
Who didn't? And as we get into this, I think like there ought to be already a moratorium on the Fire Festival comparison, because everybody has now tweeted out that sandwich and made the comparison. Like if you're still making that joke, please stop. However, very apt.
It is. Troy Daniels, former Laker, is now with Denver, correct?
I think so.
Sure.
I think he's with Denver.
Yeah, I believe that's right.
But he put on social a picture of. It turned out like the starter part of his meal, thankfully, but everything in these plastic, very sterile containers on a very school lunchroom cafeteria style tray. There's like just a plastic thing of greens, a plastic thing of watermelon, a pita chips, the Stacy's, which are very good, the Parmesan garlic and herb.
That seems to be the highlight that everybody's pointing out of the pita chips. So like, I don't know about the rest of it, but I would eat the hell out of those pita chips.
They're good. They're really good. A dinner roll in a plastic thing, a butter thing in a plastic thing, like all the side stuff for the salad in plastic. But it turned out that's not the protein portion. I guess you get chicken, fish, or pasta, or maybe a combination all there. But the early part of the quarantine, when these guys have to stay in their room, the meals are leaving a little bit to be desired.
I wonder, I mean, do we know what the food service plan is, after they've gotten 2 negative tests?
I believe each team has its own like chef, basically, that they're
yes,
so they will have a
or
chef
the NBA provides it. Like they're going to eat like
Mark Stein clarified on Twitter that it gets better once they get done with the quarantine, because otherwise I can promise people are leaving this bubble.
Yeah. No, I mean, even Ja Rule wouldn't put up with that. That's the end of that. I wonder, like, was there also some sort of conversation previously? Didn't they say that eventually players and coaches and staff members who were deemed essential are allowed to, like, eat at Disney properties, or was that a fever dream many months ago that I imagined? Are they supposed to be?
Yeah,
out,
I think
they
can go and they can play golf, and like you can take the gang out onto the lake and like stuff like that.
How terrible would it be though if everywhere you went associated with Disney, associated with these properties, everywhere you go, the meals are all on those trays, served exactly like that. Like the golf course, the everywhere. You go fishing.
But what's funny is Malika Andrews, from ESPN, who is also in Orlando and is like already embedded there. She was on with Windhorst and was saying that while you're in quarantine, because you're not allowed to leave your room, and they want as minimal contact as possible with people, food, whatever it might be. You don't choose what you want; they just bring you all 3 options for your meal.
Yeah.
So you just get everything.
3 meals.
Yeah. So, but like to the point where she said on the podcast that she stopped ordering lunch because she had too much left over from the rest of it, because they bring you everything. It's not like you can have chicken or steak or veal. They just bring you all 3 because they want a minimal amount of contact. So what there is an extraordinary amount of waste or weight gain. Those are your choices.
Well, I'm so confused by this. Like, don't phones and computers still exist? Couldn't you just, like, the night before check off your option and then?
No, but then what if you change your mind? Like they don't want any. They just take all of it. That's fine. Like that way, if you decide you don't like something, if it's not cooked right, whatever.
They're trying to keep it. Yeah, I mean, they're trying to keep everything, I guess, as truly sterile as possible, and just make it as simple as possible, like factory line.
It's kind of amazing in that way.
The best detail, by the way, from Malika in that podcast, the Hoop Collective, the one that Wendy hosts, is that she saw the ping pong area, and there are actually signs up that say no doubles. Like they really are trying to be strict about this whole no doubles ping pong thing.
Yeah, that'll do it. That's how you keep everybody safe in the bubble. No doubles.
John Wall?
No, it's
no. Who is that?
Is it Markeith?
Yes.
Oh,
that was designed to be tricky. You get an extra point for getting the right Morris twin on the first try.
I had to really stare there for a second. I didn't want to mix up my Morris brothers.
That was Markeith.
It was a Morris, but like which one?
Markeith. I can't tell the Morris brothers apart. In part because when I was in Philadelphia, I reported on them a couple of times. They had appeared at the basketball tournament back in the day. They came in, they come back to Philly a lot, but also they were going on vacation after an NBA season at one point. And they were on a chartered flight out of Philly International that was delayed because somebody in their party, possibly the Morrises, were detained at TSA with a not insignificant amount of marijuana on their way to vacation, which I understand. You got to stock up before you go.
Who among us?
I have a question about the food service. What is, for you two, what is your, because they're trying to, as Andy had said, like keep everything as sanitary as possible. They deliver everything, as Brian said, and you just take it all, and that's your option. But for you guys, when you guys order food now, what is your, or even bring food home or whatever, have it delivered, go to a supermarket, what is your food cleaning protocol? Because this is the thing I miss most about the normal times, not having to disinfect cans.
Oh, it's the
Do you do that?
Just did it today. I just did it today.
You guys are can disinfectors?
We disinfect everything. If it comes in those plastic containers, we'll
so do we.
Down.
So do we.
See, I've started reading the stuff that says that that's not necessarily necessary. Like it just doesn't. I am not a can disinfector.
I'm looking around, make sure the wife isn't in earshot. I wouldn't do it either, but she's making me, and I'm not going to argue. But I don't think it's necessary.
Andy,
either.
Blink twice if you're safe. I mean, a lot of the precautions I've been reading now at this point, as we learn more about how long things live and that are not. So, like I come home and if I go outside, I come home, wash my hands and all that stuff. But like I don't like disinfect the takeout bag or wear surgical gloves and all that kind of stuff. Maybe I should. I don't know, but I don't.
You know what? I tried gloves for a while. And then I found them to be like this. Basically, they turn into like an onion of layers that you're trying to like, okay, how do I not touch this while I have the glove on? But if I take the glove off, like it just became too complicated because I came to realize like either you're going to be touching stuff with your bare hands or you're going to be wearing these gloves that touch all these different things that you will then be touching. And I've just found the gloves to add a layer of confusion and frustration that I don't think is helping. So I wear them every once in a while, but by and large, I don't anymore because I don't think they're actually helping at all. But I still, like today I did a grocery run. I wiped down everything with bleach. I don't know if it's necessary, but it's been deemed necessary in our household.
I don't know either, and also here.
So you guys are you guys pretty hardcore, or is this...
hardcore in that like
peeing in jars. Like, what are you doing?
We're saving. If it rained in California, we'd be saving rainwater.
Like, could you guys go off the grid today if you needed to? Like, are you ready? Like, are you ready for it to get real?
We were pretty well set up for this anyway. I mean, like, I basically lived my life in a form of quarantine previously, so this was an easy transition for me. The only time I venture out is going for, we have 2 dogs, so the dogs got to go out, and then of course games aren't played in my apartment, and to go to the Ringer to broadcast our podcast, but now we'll be doing those remotely. But yeah, I think like quarantine was something that we're still doing. I mean, we haven't really stopped, and
I kind of do feel like
we've had some
like the world is sort of divided up.
Distance gatherings.
Yeah, okay, but the world is sort of divided up into people who are like
outside.
Can't figure out how to deal with them, so and just are dying, and then people are like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't realize there was a quarantine." Like, so you're clearly in that latter group.
We are in we're going to follow all the guidelines and basically stay away from everybody for a while. Like when I said we had a social distance gathering, the plant's namesake Kristen came over outside of our apartment, and we sat at a distance with our masks on and talked to other humans who weren't each other, which was nice.
Mocked her gangliness.
Yeah.
told her to walk around and flap your incredibly awkward limbs, Kristen. Just do it.
Very very plant-like today you're looking. That's right.
Yes.
I love that you hit him. I love that you hit him while he was laughing. I have to open a window because I am now sweating on.
Go for it.
I've closed the window because we live in an apartment and it's close enough that like people could hear. But I'm willing to disturb their slumber because if not, that'll be it for me. So
see if they want to be on the show.
Do it. Baller's tweets on the Periscope says, transfer your food to your own plate and wash your hands thoroughly last eat. Yes, but we're talking about the actual protocol involved with getting everything to from the store to the plate. there's a few steps leading up to that. That's just
I don't have the discipline for that. I really don't. Like I probably should. I wish I did. I should be more disciplined than I am. I'm sure we're doing things wrong. I can't remember to disinfect everything. I can't. And did I boil that? I don't know. and I wear my mask when I go out. We wash our hands. We don't really go anywhere anyway. But that's as much as I can do.
I've been shocked, by the way. Like, I remember early in the quarantine, some people, you felt like they were a little bit too on their high horse with the whole, like, washing their hands. Like, I washed my hands. I'm like, look, you don't need to be bragging about this. Like, you were supposed to be washing your hands before this. There were some people that felt like a little too proud of their hand washing habits. Like, what I was doing this too. I never advertised it. I just did it.
I have a good friend. I have a friend who steadfastly refuses to wash his hands after he pees. Like, philosophically doesn't believe. Yeah, well, always. The pandemic doesn't change that. His theory is, I didn't pee on my hand, and I would assume he's going to say, like, I don't have COVID on my junk. Like, that's what his defense is. I didn't pee on my hand.
But you touched things. There's a guy to all roads lead back to Philly, always in my life, at one of the well-known but awful sports bars in Philadelphia that used to be open, and who knows if it is anymore. There was a bathroom attendant who used to say, if you touch your man, you wash your hands. And he was right. He was a trailblazer.
I know this?
That is spectacular use of near rhyme.
Yeah. It's not quite, you have to think about it for a second. You're like, you didn't quite get there, but it works.
You know what? On one hand, yeah, he's right, and I'm glad that he's letting this known. On the other hand, nothing against him personally. I can't stand the bathroom attendants. It's the most awkward thing.
So I do not need your help to get a paper towel.
I don't need your help with anything in there. I don't even want the chit chat. Like, I don't want anything you have to offer. I can get the mint myself if it's there. I can get the paper towel. I don't need your help with the soap dispenser. Like, it's really awkward. Because then it's like, if I blow the guy off, I feel like I'm shining him. And it's like, well, I'm not. I don't need your help.
Also, I personally, like, everybody's got to make a living, but the question I had in the before times was, in an increasingly cashless economy, like, when you, like, I always, if I had cash, would just throw a couple bucks in there.
So would I.
Sometimes you don't have a couple bucks because everybody has a card now.
Yeah, I'm sure you can Venmo that guy.
You look like a jerk. Right, now I got to Venmo you. What's your Venmo?
Give me your PayPal. You know what's crazy is, and Brian, you might be able to relate to this, because John, I don't know if you guys have kids or not, but Brian and I both have elementary school level kids, and like, teaching them math, a lot of math problems, involve money. My daughter gets seriously confused by those math problems because she doesn't really understand money. And, like, I don't even mean, like, she doesn't understand the value of a dollar. I mean, like, she rarely sees a dollar. Like a dollar or coins or, like, these abstract things that when she sees them in a math problem,
stingy.
They make. Well, no, Joe, just everything gets
throw
used
her a couple
plastic.
Dollars. Let her go buy something, for God's sakes.
I buy her stuff all the time. It's using plastic or like Amazon. Like, she doesn't really get the idea of physical money.
Yeah.
And it's
That's
confusing.
interesting. Yeah. So for your daughter and for the bathroom attendant, Godspeed on that journey. I wish you guys the best.
I think that's not. I don't want people to be unemployed. I feel like that's not a job that's coming back soon, and that's not one I'll miss. I'm hoping that those people can be retrained or whatever it might be. But I always hated the bathroom attendant.
Yeah, I mean, plus you're also just going to be needing to create more physical distance between people in the bathroom, and one extra body. Norman fell.
Nice. As I mentioned, I did tee up a couple that were specific for Andy.
That is very good.
I had no idea he was from Philadelphia. Did you know that?
I did not. But I assume that the game is on the level. And
I got to be honest, I cannot 100% vouch for the Philliness of all the people in this game. Like, it's based on on the list from Wikipedia, and there were a couple of people I clicked on that it turns out were not actually from Philly, but Norman Fell was not one of them. He's from Philly.
We'll take him.
You guys want to go? You guys want to go quad box with Norman Fell?
Sure.
Why not? Bring him in.
Let's go quad box with Norman Fell.
Sorry. Now, John actually, by the way, has an advantage in this game because I'm monitoring the Periscope and interacting with the viewers, and the Periscope is behind the live feed. So if somebody pops up, like I happen to get lucky with Norman Fell, but if somebody pops up and I'm in the Periscope, I'm definitely gonna lose.
Disadvantage.
That point. It is a disadvantage. I'm okay with it, but it still is a disadvantage.
Yeah, we just got quad box like a few days ago. We're really excited about it. So
when you say you just got it, as in you just figured it out, it was always there, or
the feature was just added, that we could actually go quad box. We were so excited, we actually ordered a drink from vsliquor.com, had that drink and that liquor delivered right to our door. And the cool thing about it, John, was we saved 15% by putting sports in the checkout thing right there in the little code on your first order. It was really good, vsliquor.com.
Nailed it again. Give that man the money. He deserves it.
Are you taking notes, John? Are you taking notes for when you start the podcast back up?
It's been a second before or since I've hosted a show, so I would imagine that there'd be some ring rust there that I'd have to knock off, and this is good hosting primer.
Yeah, try not to be intimidated.
we great hosts like us, we still put our pants on one leg at a time. We're just regular people, John.
I actually don't. I jump into my pants 2 legs at a time.
How's that go?
Wow.
Quickly.
It's interesting though. I remember we reached out to you, a few weeks ago about coming on, and you had said that you wanted to, but you really wanted to kind of wait until there was some actual basketball to talk about. Does it feel like it's here to you? Because it's one of those things where we're getting there, we're moving towards it, but the whole thing still feels really abstract to me because it's so bizarre, the setup.
Yeah, it's a strange situation. It does feel like we're barreling towards some sort of NBA or NBA adjacent content. Whether or not there's actual games, I think there will be a start to the league. But then, like I said, I am increasingly skeptical that they'll actually finish it because of all the reasons that Adam Silver outlined on the ways that they could potentially pierce this camp situation. So, but yeah, it feels like we're getting closer to talking. Yeah, talking about actual basketball. Maybe, hopefully.
I mean, but the problem with this is because it in a vacuum, particularly baseball and all these sports where they're planning on no, you can live at your house and we're gonna the Dodgers. The Dodgers opening schedule is it's like a COVID tour. It's as if you're a tourist and your goal was to pick up COVID somewhere. They start in Arizona, and then they go to Houston, and then they go to Austin. It's just they're just running around the places. The only thing they don't do is go to Florida. Everything else is why would anybody intentionally travel to these places? At least, the NBA feels like it's got a chance. And then you look at, and you see that picture of Zion wearing his mask and looking like he's a character from Halo. And you're just okay, I want to see basketball again because I want to see what that looks like when it plays basketball again. What happened to him over 3.5 months? It's damn.
He looks great. He looks great. I mean, I had serious questions about Zion's fitness and weight, long term, not just in this season, but long term. How would he have weight issues? How could he continue to play at that weight with the style of game that he has? But it seems like he decided, all these other people in the real world who are I'm going to use quarantine to get myself in shape. Zion did that.
Mm-hmm.
He looks fantastic.
So did Jokic.
Yeah. Imagine. Apparently, weight loss is one of the effects of COVID.
Well,
he was apparently skinnier before that. So
yeah. Oh, is that?
I don't know.
Is that with Lamb Chop?
That is with Lamb Chop.
what is that? Oh God, what is her name? Sherry Lewis?
Sherry Lewis is the right answer.
Lewis!
Nice job, Andy.
Yes!
Well done.
Nice.
That's Chuck Barris.
Chuck Barris, it's 4-4.
Chuck Barris is a good one. That's
yeah.
a good one.
Gong Show.
Chuck Barris, I didn't know the other one. For Jokic, I've told this story on Twitter, but I'll tell you guys. So I really enjoyed chubby, thick Jokic. And
there's a lid for every pot, John.
Yeah,
no judgment.
I like him a little thick. But a couple of years ago, I was in Denver.
That's why you didn't marry Kristen.
Yeah,
tall, gangly, plant-like Kristen.
Too tall. I don't like her. I'm like a little squatter. So when I was in Denver a couple of years ago, it was like a couple hours before the game time. I was like one of the only people who wasn't a Denver reporter there. And I hear somebody coming down the hallway, and I turn around, and it's Jokic, and he's got a bag of candy. This is like a couple hours before tip. A bag of like loose candy. Some of it was wrapped and some of it wasn't, just like in a gallon bag. And he was eating out of it and stopping along the way to offer random humans. And I got a Jolly Rancher. And I was like, oh, hey. So I like that version much better than spelt like, protein and vegetables.
We covered Lamar Odom for years, and the rumors of the candy were all true. I mean, LO ate tons of candy.
I bet.
I mean, like his locker stall always had candy in it. I mean, like the Dwight Howard apparently like for years like had a serious candy thing. Like, I mean, he basically had like a candy intervention. Like people the people close to him had to sit him down and
wrestle Snickers out of his face.
Yeah, no, he literally. I'm not kidding about this. He had like hidden candy. He's like like stuff that little kids do, like when they hide like candy around their room and stuff. Dwight was apparently doing that. Like he really, really was into the candy.
Grandpa Adolf did that too when they sent him to the home when he was by himself. When my parents would leave town, they would bring him treats like food and dessert, and he would hide them because he didn't realize that they would bring him some more the next day. So it's one of the many things that Dwight and Grandpa Adolf had in common.
Can dunk, and they had candy.
Yes. But like NBA nutrition is actually one of the things that I still find shocking is like how it's such a new thing that these guys give a bleep at all about what they eat. Like it's shockingly recent. This is not something guys cared about 10 years ago.
I think that time frame is probably right, that there was a phasing in within the last decade. As recently as I would say like the 13-14 season, I remember all of a sudden starting to have conversations with various coaches and executives about like skin fold, trackable data, body fat percentages, weight, staying at a certain number, and then also like the phasing in of like nutritionists and chefs and what time you're eating and maximizing your sleep and all of these things that like people who like want to get like super ripped up were always attuned to, now being phased into the NBA. And it makes sense. I mean, like LeBron is somebody who invested in it really early, and obviously he's LeBron, so he's a superhuman to begin with. But like for him to think about that, and the classic thing of I'm going to invest $1 million in my body because my body is my job, it makes sense. It's actually kind of surprising it took that long.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still remember one of the earliest.
Rondae Hollis Jefferson.
Rondae Hollis Jefferson, and now it is John 5-4.
Oh, so there I got nabbed because I was trying to tweet about the show, and I was in the Twitter app.
Never promote your work when you're in the middle of a game.
The Twitter app was covering Rondae Hollis Jefferson, but I remember.
Or do you want to drive traffic, Andy?
I remember when we first started doing this, seeing Darius Miles into the locker room before a Clipper game, just scarfing down like a couple Big Macs, like a couple fries. I mean, just all this stuff. I was like, A, how do you not get sick? B, how do the nutritionists not take that from him? But then it's like, look, Darius Miles, they were trying to put weight on the guy.
Sure.
Like, he's going to burn it all off in the first quarter. And, when you're 18 years old, like, it's not the best thing in the world for you, but it's not going to hurt you.
Well, it's also too, like these athletes too, as you noted, John, actually in a couple stories that have been written about weight gain for NFL linemen. Like, it's especially with younger guys, it's like the amount of stuff when they want you to put on weight, they don't even care what you eat. It's not even like good calories; it's just calories.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's harder. I mean, when you're trying to put on weight for, like, we'll use the NBA as an example to avoid the NFL comparison on weight gain. But
I don't think you were wrong.
I've said all I have to say on the.
Right. I'm just saying I don't think you were wrong.
To put ESPN's potential fears at ease, will not be repurposing Baxter's PB&J story anytime soon in the interest of fair game, because I think that would be out of bounds.
You don't want a James Beard Award?
But for the NBA, like, I remember when Nerlens came into the league, and he was so hyper skinny, and they were just like trying to get him, like, you could have him eat all day long and he was still running off the weight. So now it's, how do you get him to put it on? And it's harder in a lot of ways to get him to eat healthy and put the weight on than it is to just throw a bunch of junk in his face.
Well, I mean, look, Brian and I spent 3 years, I believe it's 3 years, covering Brandon Ingram. And we would have to tell fans, like, no, really, he's actually getting bigger. Like, if you're near him, if you see him up close, he is actually adding weight. But
there he is. There's Brandon.
That's amazing. That's how Ingram looks now.
He looks excellent.
Oh my God, he looks exactly
Quarantine
like
hair is one of the most fat. It's John. It's Brandon Ingram. It's John. It's Brandon.
He
Ingram.
looks exactly
like I'm in good company. Bad comparison for him. Great for me.
Right.
People look this up. He looks exactly right now like Jimi Hendrix's cover of "Kiss the Sky." He looks exact. I mean, like it's it's less colorful. Like the album cover has way more colors in it than Ingram on that. I guess it's an Instagram post, but they are dead ringers for each other right now with hair and beard. But yeah, like Ingram was getting bigger, like, and he was putting muscle on. But it's someone like Kevin Durant. Like Kevin Durant is thick compared to what he was when he entered the league. It's just Kevin Durant's only going to get so big. Yeah, like there's a ceiling.
It's a tough frame. Tough frame to put, like, when you're that tall and that skinny and you play that sport, it's incredibly difficult to put on weight. When Mo Bamba was coming out of Texas, I spent time with him before the draft, and I did like an entire thing with him on his training with Drew Hanlon for basketball and the weight training and the yoga and all these other things that he was doing. And then also, like, I was there in the apartment when the chef, the personal chef and nutritionist, delivered all his food. And it was massive quantities of food that this kid ate in a single day that it would take me multiple days and negligible effect at that point.
All right, so before we get to this...
Oh, go ahead, Andy.
Go ahead, Brian.
No, it's fine.
I was going to say, before we get to this game, I wanted to make sure that we had enough time because a couple of years ago, you wrote a piece for The Ringer breaking down, it was a piece on summer songs and the ultimate summer song.
Oh, yeah.
And you broke down a piece about Summertime by Fresh Prince and Jazzy Jeff. Mm-hmm. It was them together, correct?
Will Smith.
Was it Will Smith solo or was it them together?
No, it's literally, he's looking at the screen. It's Will Smith.
DJ Jazzy Jeff and Will Smith.
Right.
Oh, man,
and the Fresh Prince at the time, yeah.
Ugh. Yeah,
but that was actually both part of the game and timely because you were talking about it.
Right, and unfortunately, I had to look again at Twitter to relay what's going on with this. But John, you tweeted out with this piece your annual reminder that the song of the summer was made in Philly, and also there's no way Will did all that bleep in one day. The stuff that Will describes in the song, and somebody named James Poyser said, "Come on, man, it's entirely possible." To which DJ Jazzy Jeff responded, "I'm here to tell you, absolutely yes, my brother." So Will Smith, according to DJ Jazzy Jeff, did all of this in one day. I'm going to lay out, according to your piece, the things that all happened in this day, and then I want you to explain just exactly what would make it seemingly impossible in one day.
Okay.
10 a.m.-ish to 1 p.m.-ish, riding around in a Jeep, Benzo, or Lorenzo outfitted Nissan. 1 p.m.-ish to 2 p.m.-ish, Belmont Plateau. 2 p.m. to 2:30, grabbing a pen and pad, composing the rhyme, getting us equipped for the summertime. 2:30 to 4, mad dash from the plateau to the gallery to the basketball court. 4 p.m., dipping into the fire plug to cool off a little bit with some water. 4:04, back to the crib to change some clothes. Takes a second, as you noted, to find a fly outfit. They don't call them the Fresh Prince for nothing. 4:45, late arrival to the family barbecue. 5 to 6, simultaneously reminiscing about friends, about making out, observing little boys messing around with little girls doing double dutch, watching old folks dance, wiping the car down. 6 p.m., dips out on his family and cruises to the hangout where everyone has come looking real fine. And then undisclosed time, fresh cut at the barber shop. Is this, in your mind, John, too much because it's just too many things to do in one day, or because the logistics of Philadelphia make it impossible?
Yes, both of these things. And earlier, to just bring this whole thing full circle, when Brian was saying that I might spend too much time thinking about the minutia of certain things, I spun an entire story out of it. This drives my wife insane. I spent a lot of time thinking about these very specific things. You mentioned James Poyser earlier. He's one of my favorite artists. He's a musician for The Roots, which is my favorite.
Oh, okay.
They're also Philadelphia.
Philadelphia,
So,
yes.
He's a big Ringer NBA fan, and for him to loop in Jazzy Jeff on a story about jazz and Will Smith and their iconic Summertime song, for a kid who grew up listening to both of those, or all three of those people, it was like, it couldn't have been a bigger Philly moment for me. So I was completely geeking out about it. But yes, I love that song, and Will is full of it because there's no way he could have put all that together in one day. It's too much stuff.
But, okay, in thinking about this, because like you, I will go down rabbit holes like this with very little prompting, is it really clear that this is all being done in one day? Or are these the type of things that you do throughout the summer, and is what makes the summer great, but not necessarily all in a day?
Yeah, I think most likely, obviously, it's the latter. But for the purposes of being ridiculous and producing Ringer content and getting Jazz to respond, the former.
Okay, what do you think that he definitely did in that one day? And then what do you think are some of the items that probably are just the summer at large?
I loved him going to the mall to get a new pair of sneaks. I loved him going to the family barbecue where the old folks are dancing. That warms the dark recesses of my heart. There's also a story in there where he's sitting on Lorenzo's, which for a long, long time I did not realize were rims, because I didn't have access to my own car. I only had access to my parents' station wagon.
I thought if you had just kept talking and I was just nodding along like I knew what you were talking about, I wouldn't have known either. So
I had no idea. As it turns out, I thought it was a nod to there's a pizza joint in South Philly called Lorenzo's. They serve these massive oversized slices of pizza. And I was like, oh, he likes that too. I like Lorenzo's. And I thought it was really cool that Will liked it as well. Turns out, no.
Well, it also makes it a little bit confusing because remember in NWA Bleep the Police, Cube raps about me and Lorenzo rolling in a Benzo. And there's, more or less around the same time. So Lorenzo at this point in rap, we think about as a person. Or perhaps the proprietor of a restaurant, something like that. You're not necessarily thinking about Lorenzo in terms of rims, because in that song, the Benzo, the Benz.
Tina Fey, Kyle Lowry, and I don't know.
Tina Fey. Oh, okay. Kyle Lowry. Who's the third? I have no idea who that is.
That is Grace Kelly.
That's Grace Kelly?
That is Grace Kelly.
That doesn't look like Grace Kelly to me. Charlton Heston? No.
No. This is probably the hardest one. This is worth 2.
I have no idea.
I have no clue who that is.
That is former Secretary of State Alexander Haig.
Oh, Alexander Haig.
You know what?
He's a Philly head?
I told you some of these were going to be hard. John, it looks like you're going to win because I'm out of people. That is 8-4. You have won the Name That Philly running game throughout the thing. So congratulations, your credibility is still strong. You can go back to your hometown as soon as you're allowed to travel.
Well, not so quick, Brian, because there is another game we're about to play, and this game involves Philadelphia sports specifically, between you and John. And as I'm sure you both know, the Lakers and Sixers played against each other in the finals in 2001.
I do know
the Lakers won that series 4-1, but John is our guest, so we're bringing in Philadelphia, but we're also going to cater to our audience, largely Laker fans, and we're going to focus on a series where the Lakers won. I'm going to give you some facts or questions about that series and take turns answering.
I really wish this was. I'd have done better with a trivia about the 1980 Philadelphia Phillies, because that was my favorite team when I was really little, before the Cardinals won the World Series. It's still
nice. We'll take it.
Yeah.
Welcome.
Little Mike Schmidt. All right, so we begin.
Larry Boa, Ivan De Jesus.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Good
Bake McBride.
1980s Philly knowledge by
Oh,
you.
yeah, no, Bake McBride. Tug McBride.
Bake McBride had some strong hair, man.
Gary Matthews.
Great
Senior.
hair.
None of this Gary Matthews Jr. BS. Give me Gary Matthews Sr.
Love it.
All right, so we'll begin. First question goes to Brian. You'll both answer, but just Brian's going to go first. Who had the higher shooting percentage from the field during the series in 2001 between the Lakers and Sixers? Kobe or Allen Iverson?
Bake McBride.
Brian first.
I will say Kobe.
John.
Iverson.
Oh, it's Kobe. 41.5% versus Iverson's 40.7%. So Brian currently up 1-0. The three leading scorers for the series, obviously Kobe, Shaq, AI. Who was the fourth leading scorer for the series from either team? Derek Fisher, Dikembe Mutombo, Rick Fox, or Eric Snow? John goes first.
Oof.
Fisher, Mutombo, Fox, or Snow?
Take Fisher.
Brian.
Rick Fox. It feels like a trick question.
Oh, you're both wrong. It's Dikembe Mutombo. I was surprised by this. 16.8 points per game, 60% from the field.
That's pretty
Considerably higher than his regular season average.
Yeah.
Those other four starters averaged more than 12 points per game.
He had like 130 offensive rating in this. I was stunned.
I bet a lot of people wanted to sex him after that.
Well played. We all remember in game one when AI crossed over Ty Lue, and then Ty Lue fell and he stepped over him. What number was Ty Lue wearing in that series? 1, 0, or 10? Brian first.
I'm going to say 1.
John.
0.
Oh, you're both wrong. It's 10.
Wow.
I didn't think Ty Lue had enough room on him for 2 numbers. He's a little guy.
He wore the number 10, so it's still 1-0 Brian. These Sixers averaged the fewest amount of minutes per game of anybody who actually played in the series. Whose average was the lowest? Todd McCulloch, Rodney Buford, Kevin Ollie, or former Laker George Lynch? John first.
I don't want to give away too much. I know who it isn't. Give me Buford.
Brian.
I feel like the answer to any question about who did the worst is McCulloch.
No, it's actually Kevin Ollie. McCulloch got paid.
I'm surprised.
I know he got
Kevin
paid,
Ollie.
but I didn't think but that's why
Kevin
we all
Ollie,
think that.
Kevin Ollie averaged less than 5 minutes per game, but he actually managed to appear in all 5 games somehow. Okay, so still 1-0.
Going exactly as well as you expected.
Anybody's game.
Yeah, I'm putting out a poll question right now that's going to become relevant here in about 4 minutes.
More 3-point attempts. Allen Iverson or Kobe, Fox, and Ori combined? Brian. Allen Iverson.
The first one.
I'm
putting out a poll question.
More 3-point attempts. Allen Iverson or Kobe, Fox, and Ori combined?
This feels like a trick question where you want me to take the 3 guys, so I'm going to take Iverson.
You're correct. It is Iverson. Iverson had 39 threes in that series. Kobe, Fox, and Ori only 37. Kobe only took 9 threes over 5 games, which I found very surprising. I thought Kobe would be the wild card in that. Next one, John is going first on this. Over under minutes per game for Mark Madsen. 1.
Under.
Take the over. I feel like it's a trick question.
No, it is in fact the under.
Oh.
He averaged 0.9 minutes per game. He played a total of 2 minutes in 2 games, I guess, rounding up. So it's now 2-2.
Things are really picking up.
Iverson in game 1, 48 points in overtime. It was Philly's only win. Who had the higher usage rate in that game? Iverson or the other 4 Philly starters combined?
Who's going first?
Brian.
I will say Iverson.
I will also say Iverson because, as I mentioned, the other 4 guys in the regular season didn't average. None of them averaged over 12 points.
It's actually the other 4 guys, not by a lot. Iverson had a 43.6 usage rating in game 1. Mutombo, Aaron McKee, Ty Hill, and Jermaine Jones combined for 47.4. The 4 of them together. Iverson's usage rate was insane. John's going first on this one. Who averaged more blocks per game, Shaq or Mutombo?
Give me Mutombo.
Brian.
I'll say Shaq.
It is Shaq. 3.3 blocks per game versus Mutombo 2.4. So Brian back up 3-2. Iverson led both teams in scoring in every game but game 2. Who was the leading scorer in game 2, Kobe or Shaq? John first.
Shaq.
Brian.
Kobe.
It is Kobe, actually. He scored 31 in that game, Shaq 28. So Brian is up 4-2. There's the last question, but as luck would have it, John, this one is worth 3 points.
Okay, great.
So you can actually still win this thing. During the Lakers-Suns series in 2006, Kobe famously said about Raja Bell, "I don't know this kid." And he kept referring to Raja Bell as this kid, even though Raja Bell was actually 2 years older than Kobe. And this was hilarious, especially because this wasn't even the first time they had met in the playoffs. Raja Bell was actually a very old rookie with the Sixers during this series. He was almost 25 years old during Lakers-Sixers.
How much Raja Bell bio are we getting here?
Well, it's important for this.
Okay.
Is Raja Bell, or is age 25, that Raja Bell was, older or younger than Kobe was in 2006 when they met again?
Older or younger in 2006. Hold on, I can do the math on this if I really think about it.
Brian's first.
Older.
Was Kobe older or younger? What year was it?
2006.
10. Older.
Oh, he's young. Yes, he was older. He was older. He was
28.
He was almost 28 years old. Brian, what did you say?
I think I said older.
Okay, well, unfortunately, John, you lost.
I got to be honest with you, but somehow Andy is going to be the overall winner because I put up a poll. Whose game deserves to have one of John Gonzalez's plants named after him? Like the winner gets a plant named after him, and Andy is winning despite the fact that game was terrible.
No, it wasn't terrible.
It was genuinely terrible compared to the excitement and fun of my game, which was original and had fun pictures throughout and all that.
The people have spoken, dude. They like my game better.
Congratulations
you're getting trounced.
On Andy the Spider Plant.
Yes! Yes, yes, yes!
Nice job.
Oh, this is awesome. I got to Google what a spider plant looks like.
Here, let me turn it around.
Oh, hold on.
Can you see it?
Oh, that's Janet Dubois.
Yeah,
Janae Dubois from Good Times.
Dubois, that's right.
Janae
Go back
Dubois
to the plant, though, John. We got you on full screen. Go to the spider plant.
Oh, okay.
Let's see it one more time.
Plant? Can you see it?
Oh, that's awesome.
Look at Andy. Look at Andy up there, hanging from the ceiling.
Plant.
Oh, wow.
I'm really excited, man. Thank you.
Disappointed. I'm really
Thank you. That's
angry
awesome.
now.
Wait, I'll tell Colleen when she gets up in the morning.
Well, it's fluid, though, because, there's time for Brian to regain some ground in the poll.
I just want to hang with Kristen here.
Although Brian, you're losing ground. Right?
Maybe it'll be Brian the Spider Plant.
I also feel gangly and awkward right now, just like Kristen.
Well, Well, if you feel
Anyway.
really that bad, Brian, you should order a little booze from vsliquor.com. And if it's your first order, type in sports, 15% off. They'll deliver it right to your door, vsliquor.com.
Yep, and that's all the time we have. In 14 seconds, this thing is just going to shut off. John Gonzalez from The Ringer, thank you so much for hanging out. We appreciate it.
Gentlemen, it was wonderful to see your smiling faces.
This was great, man. Thank you very much. We appreciate
Thanks
it.
for having me. It was so much fun.
And tomorrow we're going to have Andy McCulloch from The Athletic, talks all things baseball, and we will get into that.
All right, see you everybody tomorrow. Thanks.